the dark. At the end of the storm, there's a golden sky and the sweet silver song of a lark. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and blown. Walk on, with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone. When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of a storm, there's a golden sky and the sweet silver song of a lark. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and blown. Walk on, with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone. Walk on, with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone. Walk on, with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never
Dude, I have never heard that song before you sent it to me, but that song is so European soccer.
I don't know why they chose to cover that song. They did it 5 or 6 years ago, but that is Liverpool's song. You'll never walk alone. That's like on Champions Night. You've got 65,000 people singing that song all in unison. And Dropkick Murphys is just, they're one of my favorite bands. And for them to cover that and have it be that cool and stylish and different than what the original is, it's fantastic.
Well, that's your song now, buddy. Liverpool's going to have to fight you for the rights of it.
Yeah.
It's literally the premiere episode of Kicking It Back with Matt.
It is.
And I like when I get to be the sidekick because there's no pressure on me. All the pressure's on you. Everybody's watching you. They're not tuning in from me. They're tuning in there like, why is this J.O. still on this show? I thought he was on a different show. Let's get him out of here. We'll get me out of here. We got to find some other
I need a co-pilot for a few episodes.
Football guys who can talk it. But look, man, I had a problem today. My phone notifies me, Wrexham in 45 minutes. I'm like, what?
Where?
I go on our website. I went everywhere. Finally, I found something on Fox Sports, but it gave me no info. What league? What would it? I couldn't find it on TV. It wasn't. I'm Googling, where can I stream it? Nothing. Even the sports betting app couldn't keep up with it. All it said was game about to start. The game was over, and it still said game about to start. I don't get all these season tournament things and where you find them and how do you keep up with all this? Help me.
You got to track it, but the more and more that you get comfortable, and the more that you're going to be watching this stuff, and especially because Wrexham that's your team over there. You'll get used to the calendar. But right now, after Sunday, everybody's on international break for the next 2 weeks.
Where's my international break? That's what I want to know. I'm repping. I'm old. I got my Wrexham there. I got my.
Oh yeah, look at you.
I'm ready to go, man, and I got nothing to kick.
I know, and it's. I don't like this for Wrexham because it's 2 weeks of no game action. You're starting to see the table in their league. They could be in some trouble in the next 4 to 6 weeks with the teams they've got to play. That's a super tight race.
Yeah, and they don't like to score very much. I think I guess wherever they played today, whatever cup or tournament that was, I guess they had penalty kicks afterwards, because I think from what I could find they lost in penalty kicks, but I'm not sure. The score was I believe 1-1 when time ran out, and I'm reading a lot about Mullins not being so good at this level.
Is it telling you what the PK rounds were?
Yeah, somewhere it was. Let me see if I can pull it up here real fast. See where the heck I found it. I think it was over here. I mean, I could get it on our site if I knew what the hell I was trying to get. I don't even know where it is. But all right, let me see. More and Rex. It says, what? It's gone already.
Hold on.
Schedule. Let's go over here.
They lost on penalties 3-1.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of problems keeping up with this. Trying.
Yeah, well, right now it's crazy because you got 2 cup competitions in England going on. You got the FA Cup, you got the Carabao Cup to go along with their in-season stuff. Obviously, the Premier League, we got Champions League going on top of that. So right now, talking about like my team, Liverpool, they've got their regular season. They got FA Cup. They got Carabao Cup. They got Champions League. And then on top of that, they've got the international break. So, the majority of their guys, because they're a top club in a top league, most of their guys are all away on international duties, and they'll play 2 matches, one either Wednesday or Thursday, and then next week on Tuesday.
There's a lot for a new guy to keep up with, dude.
It's a lot. It's a lot. That's, about a month ago, remember, AJ, we talked about the players potentially striking over the amount of games that they're having to play. Because you have international play, you got league play, and then you've got all these cups and competitions going on. And these guys are playing every 3, maybe 4 days. And take a look. Be prepared to be following Wrexham a lot over the holidays, because in England, they pack that schedule like it's crazy, and they're literally playing a league game like every 2 to 3 days.
That seems more like how it should be. A week, 2 weeks, all these breaks, all these cups. I mean, I'm into MLS now. Like, I'm really invested in this. Now I got to wait 2 weeks.
International break. MLS, they're the only league in the world where their schedule, how they play their season. They start their season late February, early March, and then they play over the summer. and then into the fall months, and then the final for the MLS Cup is not even until December.
So whoever goes to the final basically just gets a month off, or they don't even get that month off because they're playing international ball during that.
They could be, but yeah, like over in Europe, these guys they finish their seasons mid to late May, and then you might be in the Champion League final first weekend of June, and you'll be off the 3 weeks after that, and then you'll be back in preseason training because what all these big clubs do now is they travel to different parts of the world and do a preseason tour.
I saw Wrexham did that multiple times when I
Yeah,
watched the show.
they came here to play some of the big boys from other leagues. So that's what they all do. So they spend the month of July doing all that because their seasons start like August 10th, August 11th. I think it's like the second Saturday and Sunday of August that the leagues start up. So it's a jam-packed schedule. Jam-packed. But you need to be able to have days to recover. It's a 90-minute game. Some of these guys are running 8 to 10 miles in that game. And they got to get their legs back under them. And then if you go to extra time, you got 2 15-minute extra times that potentially now you've played 2 hours of football and then go into the PKs. So they do get some rest. They have squad rotation, but like a Wrexham, they can't afford to rotate their squad. They don't have the depth because they don't have the influx of league money and sponsorship money coming in that the top tier does.
They got superhero movie star money, bro, and cell phone money, and whatever the hell else Rob McElhenney rattled off that Deadpool owns.
But do you want to be sinking all your money into that club? And you have to find players that are A, available, and B, that would want to go there.
But so to me, it seems like Wrexham is an attractive place to go for some players right now because of all the. But again, I'm all the way across the world, but it seems like there's a lot of fanfare because of Deadpool and Mac from Philadelphia.
Yeah, there's a lot of excitement, buzz around the team, but you've watched the documentary. It's not the greatest stadium in the world. It's not the greatest city in the world. So you got guys that are on a big wage bill, might not be where they want to go, and just because Wrexham makes an offer and wants to buy the player, that player has to agree terms with Wrexham. Without that player wanting to agree terms, that buy is not going through. That purchase is not happening.
Well, this guy, I don't know how much you know these players, but Mullins, they're Mullen, their big gun for the last few years.
Top striker for them.
Yeah, but not this year. And now what I'm reading is that he can't handle this level. Is that possibly accurate?
That's probably a piece of it. He's another year older. They're watching more film. They're game planning more at this level. And he's going up against better defenders. There could be guys that are bigger than him, taller than him, can push him off the ball, take away his aerial game. We're 11, 12 games in for them so far?
Mm-hmm.
So we're like a third of the way through he's got plenty of time. They all do. Look, they're third in the table. So it's not like they're playing bad. And strikers always go through scoring droughts. But when they get hot, they're banging them in. on a consistent basis. He'll find his rhythm and his way.
You know, one thing that I noticed from watching the documentary in the very beginning is these soccer players in Europe, and they were playing for Wrexham, they don't look like professional athletes. They don't have the build, they don't have the physique. And what's up with the bras? I always wanted to ask this and I always forget. Why are they wearing man bras? All these guys.
It's to track the energy, the effort. You know, it's to track what their body's doing to see what the performance is.
Okay, so it's some sort of scientific thing. Because I thought it was some of that fruity sort of woke stuff
Track,
initially. I'm like,
it's tracking heart rate. It's tracking, the distance that they're running. It's tracking, how many 15, 20-yard sprints that you're having to make throughout a game. And let's say, AJ, you make a 20-yard sprint 10 minutes in, and then you got to do it again at 70 minutes. What's the comparison on, your body's work rate between the two? Because your body might be designed to only be able to go 70 minutes. And you might be going from a peak performance of, let's say, 90% on that first 20-yard dash you got to go to a 55% body performance on that 70-minute 20-yard dash. So that tells the gaffer, it tells the club that, okay, for AJ, we know around the 65 to 70-minute mark, we're going to have to sub him out, rotate somebody in, and finish out the game.
but if I'm one of your top guys, wouldn't it make sense to sub me out somewhere around mid-game? Let me rest up so you have me on the pitch when it matters most?
Maybe if you're up big, but let's say you're 0-0, 1-1, you're down 2-1 in a game that you need, the gaffer's going to give you 5, 10, 15 minutes to see if you can pull off something, especially up top, right? With the strikers and the wingers. They'll do that. And then by the 60-minute mark, all right, AJ, you're done for the day. 30 minutes left in the game. And then these guys always have a game changer on the bench. Somebody that can come in at the forward striker position and make a difference. Fresh set of legs, right? The defense is a little bit tired, have a knack for scoring goals, being in the right place at the right time. All the big top clubs have those types of players. And they'll always come on between 60 and 70 minutes. And you might not necessarily be tired and your body not performing. It's just a tactical change to throw something different at the opponent.
I have seen more games than I thought where the game ends up being tied in added time with basically no added time left, or a team scores to win a game in added time where it looked like this team is this is going to go to end in a tie or go to penalty kicks, which I also have a huge issue with penalty kicks.
I always say if there's more than 6 minutes of injury time or stoppage time, what they call it now at the end of these games, I'm going to say 80% of the time, one of the two teams is putting the ball in the back of the net. It just, I look at the scores every weekend and it's like, all right, like 8th minute stoppage time, 9th minute stoppage time. So much can happen in that amount of time. You've been watching it. You see how these guys can break down the field. I mean, the goalie can kick it from his 6-yard line into the opponent's 18-yard box. So much can happen. And again, these defensive guys, they're struggling with fatigue because they typically never come out of the game. It's usually the midfielders and then the people up top, unless obviously for injury. And you've brought on some fresh faces, right? you might hold on to a couple of subs until that added time or close to it, and they're able to just make something happen. But I bet if we went and did the research, 90% of all those stoppage time goals are either off of corner kicks or direct free kicks, because that's usually what happens. Doesn't come from free play. But what's the problem with PKs?
It's a crappy way to end a game, let alone like end somebody's season. So you got, MLS. Few of these games they were tied at the end of all the time. Kind of seems like to me you should keep playing soccer.
They've played
As
for 2
opposed-
hours.
Yeah, but so you make it interesting. I don't know. Maybe you play like a power play sort of thing. Maybe you do something like the NFL does now in overtime, where if you score a touchdown, the other team gets the ball, and then if you don't score, the other team still gets the ball. But if they score, the game's over. There's got to be something, because penalty kicks, it kind of takes everybody out of the game. Literally, I mean, the goalie ain't. There's no skill in stopping a penalty kick. It's just straight up luck. Right? Am I right or wrong?
You're completely right, and that's why there's no stress, there's no pressure on the goalie. And that's why whenever there's a big cup competition, take the World Cup final, last year between Argentina and France, nobody talked about the French goalie losing it. It's on the field players. The pressure is all on the person taking the kick, right? You see this massive goalie in between the sticks. Now, he can't move before the ball is kicked, off of his line, but he can sit there and he can jump up and down. He can wave his arms. These goalkeepers in today's game, they're massive. They're 6'4", 6'5".
I saw that. I don't remember which game it was because I watched so many of them. But it was an MLS game that went to penalty kicks, and the goalie saved it, but then they went back and reviewed it, and he moved off his line too early, so the guy got the re-kick, and then he ended up hitting it back of the net.
What the goalkeepers do in today's world is they study film of the PK guys. So, like, each team typically throughout the year has a PK guy because, you can get a PK during a game for a foul inside the box. Mm-hmm. So, again, with Liverpool, their PK taker is Mo Salah. So every time they win a PK during the course of play of 90 minutes, or if they have to go into overtime because the game finished tied, he's the guy that's always stepping up and taking the kick. So now you have the goalie that's playing him this week. They're spending all week watching film of him and his tendencies on where he wants to go. And then when you flip the script and you go to the player taking the kick, they're constantly have to be reinventing how they're going to approach the kick, where they're going to put the kick, etc. So all these, and like when I was playing, and most of what these guys do is they always want to go to the same spot. And they'll make it so either they hit this thing 150 miles an hour and they know that they're going to bury it like right inside the bar, the post, and ding in, or they could always be going upper 90. They all have a preference of what they want to do. I love PKs. The one thing I hate about them, where I think they need to change a rule with them, is once the kicker starts to go in motion, he's just got to get up there and kick it. He can't start tiptoeing, tap dancing up to the ball, swing like he's going to kick it, get the goalie to move one way or the other, and then kick it to where the goalie's not going. I can't stand that because I think that gives it way much more of an advantage to the penalty taker than the goalie. If the goalie can't move off the line until this guy starts to move, then I just think that the player just has to run right through the ball and hit it.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that all that monkey business was part of it. Can they move the ball back? Give the goalie more of a chance? Can they do breakaways maybe where you get all right, team A, all right, in Miami you get 5 guys, and Atlanta you have 3 guys, and you get 1 shot.
I
Can
don't.
you-
I don't think FIFA would ever go for that. I think that they would look down on that as going against the tradition of the game. And because PKs only happen in knockout games,
Mhm.
and they don't happen all the time. I don't know. I'm a purist too. Like I said, I love the drama of it. I love seeing the stress on these field players having to take the kick. And you probably don't know this because you're new to the sport, but you have to be on the field at the end of time in order to be able to take a PK. The manager just can't look at the bench and say, all right, you go in, take those guys off, and you're taking the kick. You have to be on the field. So that's also some of the strategy that comes into the in-game play, because the manager might have a really good PK taker on the bench. And if they have a feeling that this might go towards the 2 additional periods in PKs, he's got to get that guy on the field. So he might not be able to utilize all his substitutes that he wants to that day.
And how
'Cause,
much would that suck if you know if Messi sports bra said he was tired, and then you take him out, the game goes to penalty
well,
kicks.
that's
But
that's never, never, ever, ever happening. Messi is never coming off the pitch. He's one of the most clutch PK takers of all time. And Messi is not a work rate guy. He doesn't work off the ball.
no, he's just kind of like reminds me of a little kid, like out in the middle of a field full of flowers, just sort of mulling around until the ball is somewhat in his vicinity, and then he flips a switch. But I'm assuming that he wasn't always like that, but it's because he's old now, and they're trying
Now
to.
it's who he is. It's the same with Mbappe now at Real Madrid. These these big time offensive players, they don't care about getting behind the ball and defending. They don't want to worry about that. They don't want to do their job, help the team. They just want to score, or they want to set the person up to score, because for them that's really all that matters. Like, as great as Messi is, and I don't want to say that he's a selfish player, but if you don't come back to get behind the ball and to defend and help to win the ball back and turn people over, um, I don't like that. Now, when he was at Barcelona, they set up the midfield so that he didn't have to do that. You know, they played with holding midfielders where their job was just to win the ball, tackle the ball, get the ball back, and then get it to the offensive guys and let them do what they got to do. So it's really all in how, like, the player was brought up through the system in the academies. Another one is Ronaldo. He was always that way too. Just never wanted to work to win the ball back. So Messi is always going to take the PKs, and there's always the debate with PKs of, do you send your best PK player up there first, or do you hold them for the 5th slot? Because the 5th slot, if you get to that 5th take, they've got to have the biggest nerves of steel on the team, right? You're in the World Cup final in front of 75,000 people. Everybody in your country has eyeballs on the set watching you. That pressure, and can you perform under that pressure, is huge. I'm of the way of, I want my best PK taker going first, because I want to make sure that they get up and they have a chance to hit the ball. And I know that they're going to put the ball in and they're going to take a little bit of pressure off of the next 4 guys. So like if Liverpool is playing Real Madrid and Liverpool misses the first 2 PKs and Madrid hits their first 2 PKs and they're up 2-0, there's a very good chance I might not get to my 5th penalty taker because it's best of 5.
You mean 2-0, not 2-0, right?
2-0. But it's essentially the best of 5. It's not the first of 5.
Mm-hmm.
So do I want to leave Messi in the 5 hole, and then we only get through 4 rounds?
Now, what happens if both teams score 5? Do they go to sudden death after that? First one to miss loses? Or does it depend? Okay, they do.
So the manager, before the PKs are taken, tells the 11 that are on the field which one of in the 11 are you. So you get through the first 5, 6 through 11 is each one of those numbers. Now, if you get to 11 and you're still tied, which happened last weekend with your team, NYFC, they went 18 rounds. So once you get to the 12th PK taker, it can be any one of those 11.
Okay.
But you've got to go through the whole 11 again. And in that 11 is the goalkeeper.
Oh, so really? Huh. I did not know that.
And there's some goalkeepers out there that are really, really good at taking PKs. They practice them a lot too.
So you could make the goalkeeper first on your list if he was really good, right? He doesn't have to be last. He can be anywhere you want to put him.
But typically you don't want to do that because, the odds are so slim. What about if he pulls a hammy taking the kick? You can't get back into net and be 100%.
Look,
and typically, your goalie's not one of your top 5 PK takers. And they already have enough stress in their minds, right? Like I'm sitting here saying, I think that the goalie's got the easier of the 2 jobs because he's expected to fail. He's not expected to make the save. But they still put all that pressure and internal stress on themselves.
You know who could do it? Otani could do it. If he was a soccer player, Otani could play goalie and score at the same time.
Imagine a guy like Judge in goal at 6'9".
So I think we've established that I'm into soccer, right?
Yeah.
That's okay. But I can also understand why people may not like soccer. To me, it's a lot of chess. It's kind of like watching Floyd Mayweather fight. I used to like to watch Floyd Mayweather fight. It's boring. It's no good. It was strategy. And I see soccer, you have a whole bunch of nothing goes on for a little, what seems like nothing going on for a little while. And then it's like bam, 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 bam. All kinds of stuff happens. Then they lull you back to sleep. But to me, it just seems like, and I heard what you're saying, you get 75,000 people screaming and you got to take this penalty kick. And I don't know, the goalie is at such a disadvantage. To me, it just seems like you can go up there and just kind of like bunt the ball with your foot and it's going to go in the goal because it's a guessing game to me. And I don't know. I don't get the...
And you're not alone. A lot of people that didn't grow up playing the sport.
I played the sport when I was a kid. I don't know why I played it, but I just never. Well, I know why I never got into it because nobody got into it when I was a kid growing up in Jersey.
We never went to PKs as kids. I'll tell you this real quick. So I won a state's championship in Massachusetts in 1991 with my Central Mass Football Club. And the state championships are held out at UMass Amherst. I don't know if they are now. We're talking 30 plus years ago. But the final before my final, that went to, it was either 13 or 14 rounds of PKs. And the goalie for Lowell Soccer Club came up to take the PK to keep Lowell in the game, and he drilled it off the freaking crossbar.
Mm.
So imagine the weight of the world on that kid, because he just cost his team a chance at a state championship by keeping them in it. But because he hit the crossbar and it didn't go in, they lost. So my final didn't kick off until like 10:30 at night because of how delayed it was from all those PKs. But like when we were playing rec soccer or you were in your league, just like in the regular leagues here, they don't have PK shootouts. They're only in these cup competitions where you have the knockout games. How often as a kid were we doing that? But I would love to sit there and take PKs all day long.
I'm not a fan. And the pressure, I just look for a kid. Yeah, that's got to suck. And that may stay with you your whole life. It may not, but some people it will, like Al Bundy. I scored 4 touchdowns in a game. The kid may remember, wow, I cost us the championship. But these are professional athletes, even though the Wrexham guys don't really look like professional athletes, that it just seems like such a crappy way to end the game.
I hear you, but what do we do? Do we add another 15 minutes of playing time and just see who gets exhausted the most?
Well, yeah, because so here, look, I know
Like
nothing.
playoffs,
What's that?
like the hockey playoffs, they just keep playing and playing and playing until somebody scores.
Yeah, and sometimes that's exciting, and sometimes it's really horrible, and you just want it to end. But soccer's more spread out, and it's. I don't know. I think it would be more interesting in soccer. So Atlanta just beat Inter Miami, and we know that I know nothing, but I watched, and I dabble in wagering on some of these things, so I pay attention to certain things. And I don't know, a month and a half ago, right after Messi came back from his injury, came back in his first game, I think he got a hat trick, and then they went on the road up to Atlanta. And I saw Atlanta run circles around Inter Miami in that game that night. So when they matched up in the first round here, I was not one of those people. Maybe it's because I'm naive and I don't know enough to say, oh my God, Inter Miami is just going to steamroll these guys. I really thought Inter Miami was in a lot of trouble. And fast forward to game 3 of that series, that's what happened. Atlanta was just so much fresher than Inter Miami. And that's why they won game 3 and won the series. So the point is, if you keep playing in overtime, instead of going straight to penalty kicks, then maybe the better team will win. And yeah, I'm saying that I know that Inter Miami set the record and got the whatever it's called, the trophy and Messi and all this crap, but the better team won. I don't feel like the better team always wins in penalty kicks.
That's true. The biggest reason, in my opinion, that Inter lost is they don't have the depth that Atlanta does, and their 4 big stars, they're ancient in soccer terms.
They're
Messi,
tired.
Suarez, Busquets, Jordi at the back. They have tons of mileage on them because they all played at Barcelona. They were winning Champions League every other year. They were getting to the semifinals or the finals of Champions League every year. They were in every freaking big club competition in the world, plus international duty and everything else. And these guys are 35, 36, 37 years old. And, they've had a long grind to get here. And, yeah, they had this historical regular season, but what is in the MLS? That means nothing. Now, in the English Premier League, that would mean everything because there are no playoffs. They would have finished number 1 and won the league.
Now, isn't that unrewarding as a fan that there are no playoffs in EPL?
I think it's more about the chase to finish top 4 and what it means to finish top four, to ultimately secure your spot in Champions League. Because if you're not in Champions League, you're not going to attract the top talent to want to come and play for you, because those guys all want to play on that Champions League stage. And this happened to Liverpool a couple of years ago. They had a sloppy season and finished outside the top four. We're not in Champions League the next year, and they had a hard time getting talent that summer during that signing period. So it does hurt when you don't. So if we just had a playoff and you still finish top, like, and you finished out of the top four, right? Like Atlanta is what, the 6th seed, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't have that up because I wanted to.
Yeah, they're up. Atlanta's the 6th seed. So now Atlanta finishes 6th in the conference, and now they go on to win the MLS Cup. Yeah, great, you won the MLS Cup, but you're out of that big competition that's coming through. What's he saying? Atlanta was 8, so even you're not even halfway to the top four. So,
Well, didn't 3 of the top 4 get knocked out? Columbus,
top 3,
Miami. Okay, who was the other one?
In Atlanta, not Atlanta, Cincinnati.
Okay.
Those were the top 3. So in the East, you've got the 4, 6, 8, and 9 seeds left. And in the West, you've got the 1, 2, 4, and 6. So, but hey, that's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy up here because they're playing against the Red Bulls.
New York. So look, Liverpool is, I believe, 9-1 in EPL right now, and they're 4-0 in Champions.
Top of the table in both, baby.
Yeah. So I mean, doesn't that get boring for you, knowing that, you know what, we got it, we're good?
No.
There's no.
No.
I mean, it's nice to be number 1, but don't you want to be at the edge of your seat thinking, oh my God, we might make it, we might not make it. What are we going to do here?
Listen, I don't say we're number 1 until, match day 38, when that final whistle blows and they're at the top of the table. And, with Champions League, yeah, they're in this pool play right now, but they, that competition goes to knockout rounds. And you have a long way to get to the final. So it's great to sit here and say, but they have a huge clash coming up with Man City at the beginning of December. Man City wins that game, and they're right there. Arsenal, they've had a couple of oddities, but they just got back their number 1 midfielder, and you saw the difference in them on Sunday. There's a long way to go. Injuries happen all the time. Liverpool is known to get injury problems throughout the year, especially to Jota, who's one of their top strikers. He's out right now injured. I feel like the guy's hurt every year.
Doesn't seem to be affecting them much, though, no?
But you know what? They had a battle Chelsea. They had a battle Arsenal. I mean, Christ, they lost to Nottingham Forest, who should be in the bottom 3, and they're up at the top of the table here. EPL, the table's all topsy-turvy right now. You have big clubs down, you have little clubs up. But I'm going to say that's because, we're a third into the season. But winning never gets old, AJ. I don't know about you, but
well, it does. If you're a Philly fan, well, you never win, so you don't know that it gets old, I guess.
I'm from Massachusetts. I'm a Patriots guy. Do you think that run with Brady and Belichick ever got old?
No, but it was exciting every year because it could have. You win the division, you win the league, but you still got to win the Super Bowl and go to that game where that Super Bowl game where they were down by whatever it was, 20-something at halftime, and they came back and won. You don't get that with Liverpool. All right, yeah, we just played 40 games and we won 38 of them. Season over. We'll be back in 6 weeks to do it all over again.
I think that's more because we're so accustomed to all the other major sports in this country having playoffs. And we love the atmosphere of playoffs. To me, the greatest playoffs is the Stanley Cup. I think
Yeah.
that's the greatest playoffs that there is. So I think we're just so obsessed. I only watch baseball when it's playoffs. I only watch the NBA when it's the playoffs. I don't care about the regular season in those sports because they don't mean anything. But across the pond, for Liverpool, how they perform in the regular season is everything. And when you have Man U running on all cylinders, Man City running on all cylinders, Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham, and you put Liverpool, when you have those 6 clubs running like best of the best every game, and they all play each other twice. So all those games, they all mean something. Man City right now being on this 4-game losing streak, 2 out of the league and 2 in the. First of all, that Pep has never had a 4-game losing streak in his entire managerial career.
I did read that.
In 16, 17 years, it's never happened. And again, it's the effect of the Rodri injury. The guy just won the Ballon d'Or. It's the MVP of world soccer. He's the best holding midfielder in the world. And Man City doesn't have an adequate backup for him. I was just reading the other day, Liverpool they struck out this summer on signing this big-time center back. He didn't want to go there. Remember I said not only do you have to pay for the guy, but you got to agree terms. The guy said, I'm not signing there. So they didn't pull it off.
Like Otani in baseball. He should be a Yankee, but he don't want to play in New York. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Got it.
So they took this guy, Gravenbach, this young 22-year-old kid. He's never played the position really before, and he's taken a hold of it, and he's doing really, really well. And it's been a big difference this year versus last year with who was playing in the holding role. But I was just reading in the rumor mill for the transfer coming up in January, Liverpool is going to maybe again try to go after the guy that shot them down over the summer, or go get another top 4 or 5 holding back in the world, because they want to push this kid. They want to make sure they have competition at the position. And that's when we talk about the depth. And that was the shortfall with Inter is, you have your 1A, but you got to have a 1B. And right now, these 4 losses for Man City, it's the tactical setup, it's the formation that these teams are throwing at them, and they have nobody that can do what that guy did. And they're without him for all year. Now, do I think that they're going to fall down the rabbit hole? No. They're going to still finish top 4. But everything, those 3 points every game mean everything to somebody that is into, the foreign soccer, the stuff across the pond. Because, again, there is no playoff. So you got to make top 4 because you want that team to be in Champions League.
Now, how many leagues or cups or tournaments or whatever you want to... So I'm reading. I do a lot of reading. I do a lot of Netflix and Amazon to learn about this stuff, documentaries and whatnot. But Man City lost 4 in a row. I'm like, all right, I go to my EPL fixtures here. All right, they lost their last 2. I'm like, all right, they must have lost 2 in the Champions. They didn't. They lost 1 in the Champions. Where the fuck is the 4th loss?
It was either the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup, which are the 2 English competitions.
But
sometimes those cups, I mean, the FA Cup carries a lot more meaning than the Carabao Cup does. But you'll see in these early rounds, this is where your lack of depth can hurt you, or if you have a lot of depth, it's a huge strength because they'll rotate players. You'll sit 8 out of your 11 starters and play all the backups because you're playing not to knock Wrexham, but it's like Wrexham playing Liverpool right now. Liverpool would go into that game and say, all right, we're going to start that game with 8 of our starters on the bench. And we're going to do that because we think that our depth is better than their starters. And then that's how you get your squad rotation and you get some rest for all these players. They might come on and make a cameo with 15 minutes left. I can't tell you how many times I've watched one of these cup competitions in England, and the team that's supposed to be winning is down. All hell is breaking loose, and now they're bringing on 5 starters to try to turn the thing around and win it.
Are you pissed as a fan if you showed up to this cup match and none of your heroes are out there on the pitch? Or are these fans just so fanatical about the team that the players are irrelevant?
It's more about the team than it is the player.
Okay.
Like I could tell you right now, like Salah has turned into like he'll go down as an icon in Liverpool history just because of how many big goals he's had.
Robert?
Huh?
Robert Salah?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
Mo Salah.
Oh, all right. They were talking about the Jets guy.
I don't know. So like you might have a favorite player, but these guys come and go so often.
So you don't get attached. You don't get attached to a guy if he dips out.
No, like we've talked about. Like Steven Gerrard is my favorite player of all time. Spent his entire European career at Liverpool. He was born and raised in Liverpool. When Chelsea was winning the league and going to Champions League and Liverpool was not, Chelsea came calling and wanted to buy him. And he said, I'll never put on that kit. I would never play for anybody else in England besides my, boyhood club. And then when he retired from there, he came over here. And I hated it. I hated it that he came over here to extend his career. Because it just wasn't the same. I wanted him to stay there the entire time. And what's crazy is I don't hold that against Brady. I thought it was time for Brady to go.
And did you go with him? Did you root for the Bucks that year?
I rooted for him. I didn't necessarily root for the Bucks.
Well,
Did I root for them in the Super Bowl? Hell yeah.
Every week, you kept an eye on what Brady was doing, and you were hoping the Bucks would win every week.
I looked at his stats every week.
I mean, it's one of the, and I've had this issue since I was a kid. So I grew up very young in the 70s. It's where I discovered baseball. And I discovered the Yankees, and they won 2 World Series. And you had Reggie Jackson, Greg Nettles, Tommy John. The list goes on. And after 1980, and they lost the World Series, Reggie left. And I was like, oh, my God. It broke my heart. So I stayed a Yankee fan, but I was still the Reggie fan. And then, as other people came in and went out and came in and went out, I consider myself more of a sports fan, more of a baseball fan than I do a Yankee fan. And I've had this argument with the guy who used to come on, baseball guy who used to come on with us a lot, where I was rooting for the Phillies the last couple of years. Before this season started, I said, I'm going to go back to the Yankees. I said, I'm tired of losing. Let me go back to the Yankees. Maybe I'll feel like a winner again. But I love Bryce Harper. I think the guy's an animal. He's old school. He's Don Mattingly. He's Pete Rose. He's all that sort of stuff. So I still root for the Phils, but I was rooting for the Brewers because I like Rhys Hoskins. So you get what I'm saying? To me, it's more about I get attached to the players, the hustlers, the guys that get down and dirty, as opposed to, look, if they go to the Marlins, I don't know. I probably wouldn't.
Let's kick it back over to soccer.
I like how you do that with the name of the show, kicking it back, and then I got it, bro. I got it. I didn't mean to pull it off topic. I was just
No.
make an example.
It's good that you did that because now with Liverpool, they have 3 of their top starters that are out of contract at the end of this season. Mo Salah, right? One of the most prolific strikers. Well, he's a winger now in the world. He's 32. He's going to be 33 at the start of next season. He's making £450,000 a week. So he's on a massive wage bill. Virgil van Dijk, who's their captain, also 33. He is their center back.
Yeah, but these guys are whippersnappers compared to Inter Miami.
Right. And then they have Trent Arnold-Alexander, who's only 25 years old. He is a terrible defender. They have him at right back. He wants to drift into midfield. He's an unbelievable passer. He's unbelievable at placing corner kicks. Why haven't Liverpool made him a major offer? You know, he's a big time star. It would absolutely hurt them if he was to leave. But my point is if all three of these guys leave, I won't follow them wherever they go. First of all, Van Dijk and Mo, because they're so far on in age for this sport and where they're going to go, like maybe Saudi Arabia. Nobody's watching that crap down there. It's awful. It's horrible. They just go there for the money because they have all the money in the world, right? And Trent Arnold will probably go to Real and just give them another superstar to go with all their other superstars. And
all right. What league is and I know this is, and there's a lot of people watching, and we're gonna have a lot of people on Twitter watching this show as it grows, because I started hooking us up with a lot of Liverpool people and a lot of Man U people on Twitter, and I'm gonna keep doing it. So, but realize he's the expert and I'm the doofus here. Madrid, where do they play? They're not in EPL. What are they in? What is the league that they're in called?
La Liga in Spain.
Okay. And what is the German league called? Just the German league?
Bundesliga.
Ay, Dios míos. Okay.
And then you have Serie A in Italy. And then you have League One in France.
So we're developing, and people knew Kicking It Back with Matt and Bleacher Brothers. Check out our website, bleacherbrothers.com. We're developing, we're putting it together. So when we got the soccer fixtures and tables and widgets and standings and all this stuff, I found all the American companies that sell these things wanted insane amounts of money. So I went overseas and I found somebody that they specialize in soccer. But they all do. They want, like, I can get MLB, NFL, whatever the other ones are, the four majors for $5. I said, I want soccer. Whoa, it's $50 now. I'm like, $50 for soccer? But anyway, when I found this place, Brodage is the name of the company. I don't even know where they're out of, but it's like this much soccer. I mean, it just goes on and on. I'm looking, I'm like, who's watching this crap? I don't need all this crap. No, I do. I need it all. I got to put it all on here. Originally, it was just EPL. And then you said, well, we need the Champions League. And I'm like, okay. And then I got CONCACAF. I still don't, save it for another show, but I still am not quite sure what CONCACAF is. I know what NWSL is. That's the National Women's Soccer League. They just play here, right? That's like our version of MLS for chicks. Okay. And then World Cup men, World Cup women. But there's
CONCACAF has to do with the region.
Okay.
That we're in. It's when they go for all the World Cup qualifying.
So it's the Americas, basically?
Yeah, the countries are all bound by region. So you'll have the South America region. Then for us, it's Central America, Mexico, Jamaica, those islands down there that have national soccer teams, Canada. We're in with the U.S. Then you go to Europe, and they're all regionalized. Africa is a region. And then, the top four, now it's changing because the World Cup is adding so many teams. The top four in each region would go on to the World Cup.
Have you been to a World Cup match?
1994 Gillette Stadium. I saw
Of course,
Argentina.
had to be Massachusetts.
I
That
saw
okay.
Argentina, Nigeria, and I can't remember if Maradona played or not. I should know that since he's one of the top 3 or 4 players of all time, but it was just so long ago. Yeah, I went. I was able to go to one of the group games and sit on the aluminum benches that made up Gillette Stadium.
That
Uh,
sounds like a comfortable afternoon.
Foxborough Stadium. Yeah, it was terrible. The
Uh,
experience was great.
Was it electric in there?
It was insane.
Have you been to games in Europe?
Just my own.
Okay. All right.
Anfield, Liverpool Stadium is on my bucket list.
We need to do it at some point in the next year, and we're looking for people that are just finding the show and just finding us. We're looking for a lot more soccer people, and we're looking for soccer people over there in Europe that can contribute, that can write, that can come on shows. We'll give you an opportunity, and we have to convert dollars to pounds or something. I don't know. We can figure that out. I'll just give you a pound of dollars, and we'll call it even. I don't know. We'll figure it all out, but. Yeah, I would like that. And the World Cup is coming here. Is that correct? Next year?
26.
26. Okay. And is the whole thing is not here, right? They're going to play the regions, and then whoever makes it out, or not the regions, but
This is really the first time that it's being co-hosted by multiple countries. So we're the host along with Mexico and Canada.
Okay.
So you're going to have a handful of games in Canada. You're going to have a handful of games in Mexico. But the vast majority of games will be here in the U.S. I'm 90% sure that MetLife got awarded the final. Jerry World got a semifinal.
I thought Atlanta had the final, no? Joe will know. Joe's quick with these things.
No, I don't think so, because Atlanta doesn't have the diversity of the soccer fan that's up here in the tri-state area. So I think they have a semifinal. Jerry World's got a semifinal. So when the World Cup was here in 92 or 94, it was the final was at the Rose Bowl. And you want to talk about the PK situation. It was Italy versus Brazil. Roberto Baggio from Italy, consecutive World Player of the Year awards, steps up and sails it 20 feet over the crossbar to lose the World Cup final.
Oh, that's got to like hide your face and not show up ever again.
Well, and that's what so that's 30 years ago.
Did he get whacked? Did the Gaudis take him out after that happened?
No.
They should have.
But you remember his name. You don't remember the goalie's name who let in the 5 goals or whatever it took for Brazil to win.
There's always got to be a goat, not in a good way, goat, but in the bad way, the goat. There's and the chat's going off. This was I don't know. I feel like this was a great. I could do this every day with you with no show, just talking and learning about all of this. But yeah, I want us. I'm getting these requests every day now from photographers and future journalists. Hey, can you get me credentialed here? Can you get me credentialed there? I'm like, no. If somebody asks me if I can get them credentialed for soccer, and I'll work my ass off to get it done, especially in another country, specifically Germany or England, or this is a whole nother thing, Matt, but Wales is part of England, but it's a country all by itself, or something like that, right? And Wrexham plays in Wales.
They were in the last World Cup.
Okay.
As Wales, not part of England.
Like, you got to learn.
Wales is part of the UK.
I
So
thought
it's Scotland,
England was
Wales.
the UK. I mean, you got to
No,
learn geography. I got to learn history. I got to learn a sport. This is.
you have to learn all these leagues, all these competitions.
But one thing that I've learned that I really think is that Major League Baseball should adapt something like soccer does or English soccer does, and I guess MLS did it too, where you have these cup competitions during the season, because Major League Baseball has got such a long season that if you could find a way to add some excitement. And so the NBA did it last year and everybody goofed on it, but it was kind of cool. They did their in-league tournament. And I think this year they're calling it the NBA Cup tournament. They didn't do that last year, but
Yeah, they called it the in-season tournament? Whatever.
yeah, the in-season tournament. Now it's the NBA Cup tournament. But I think baseball could take a look at this and say, hey, you know what? This could add some excitement and then bring some more fans in, because all the fans that you're looking for, they're at the soccer matches. That's why they're not at the baseball games. I know. I'm sorry. It's your show. I got to shut up. But
No, I'm thinking we bring in that MLS guy next Tuesday. Maybe we can have him do a little preview of the semifinals for each conference that are going to start next Saturday.
I like it. I like it a lot. And anybody that is an MLS guy or a La Liga guy or a Saudi Arabian soccer guy that's interested in talking soccer with us or football. What do they call it in Saudi Arabia?
I have no idea, but real quick before we jump, there's a lot of rumors right now going around that Neymar is trying to make his way to Inter Miami. And he's stuck in Saudi Arabia. And the sporting director, I don't know his name for Inter Miami, just said we can't have him and Messi. Because of the way that the MLS wages are structured and all that, they just don't have the payroll to do it. So Neymar, Luis Suarez from Inter Miami now, and Messi formed the top triangle, the attacking players at Barcelona for years. And now Neymar wants to come to America. So he went to Saudi Arabia on a 2-year deal. They gave him like $100 million a year.
Wow.
Gave him like whatever cars that he wanted, Lambos, Bentleys. That's what Saudi's doing. They're going after all the top players in the world to try to build and establish that league by just throwing at them insane. That's why Ronaldo's there. And that's why so many guys now are going there. So Invictus Jr., who's only 24 years old, in my opinion, should have won the Ballon d'Or this past year. He's the cog in the machine at Real Madrid. There's talks of him going there at the end of this year because he's so fed up. This is a topic for another day, but he's so fed up with all the racism that's in football.
Okay.
And he's encountered it quite often, believe it or not. And he's talking about leaving. And now with the disrespect for him, he didn't even show up at the Ballon d'Or ceremony because he was so ticked off that he wasn't going to win it. If he leaves, he's one of the top 6 to 8 players in the world right now. If he was to leave and go to Saudi, that's a bad precedent. But it would be crazy to see Neymar come to Inter Milan and just up the average age of that roster even more. Because he's 32, 33 now.
I've been to Saudi Arabia. There's not enough that you could not offer me enough money to go spend a year in Saudi Arabia. I don't care. I've been there. But what pisses me off too is I also have you been to Saudi Arabia?
No.
Yeah, you literally if you go spend some time there and then come back and look at the money and then look at Saudi Arabia and then look at the money and look at Saudi Arabia. It's going to take you a while to make that decision because, 100 million is a lot, but it was 30 years ago that I was in Saudi Arabia, but man, it was, I could not wait to get the hell out of there.
Okay.
And I also lived in Germany and did nothing with soccer, and I completely regret that now.
How long did you live in Germany for?
A year. I was in the army. I was stationed in Germany, went over to Saudi and Desert Storm, went back to Germany. And now my kid's a brainiac. She's 11. So she'll always ask me, she's like, Daddy, did you go here when you were in Germany? I'm like, no. She goes, did you go see this castle? No. What did you do? I said, I don't remember. I was wasted the entire time. And I completely regret it. In Germany,
yeah.
I was in Kitzingen, which is right outside of Wurzburg, which was about an hour from Frankfurt. And then after Desert Storm, I got transferred to a place called Hohenfels or Graft, which was in the middle of nowhere. It was basically like being in a really cold, snowy Saudi Arabia. That place was horrible. But Kitzingen was really cool because it was city. And I remember seeing the gigantic stadiums. And the other guys that I was stationed with would tell me, yeah, football, it's a big thing here. But never really made it there. But why were you over there? Were you stationed there or did you spend time there?
No, the only time I was in Germany is we flew into Frankfurt and then left from Frankfurt to go to Arnhem in the Netherlands. That's where we trained when I went over there in high school to represent the U.S., not on their national team, but on this club program. We were in Amsterdam, trained in Amsterdam. Then we went to Sweden. I played in the Gothia Cup, which is the largest youth tournament in the world, played in front of like 50,000 people.
Wow.
In the tournament. Then went to Denmark to play in the Copenhagen Cup. And like you said, like I'm 16 years old, and after training every day, I'm hopping on a train and going to Amsterdam. The last thing on my mind is soccer.
Mm-hmm.
You train all day, you work hard all day, and then you want to go play. And I'm not saying play soccer,
No, I know what you're saying.
I didn't. I was there for 6 weeks in total between Netherlands, Sweden, and Denmark. And I'm Swedish. Lindqvist is a Swedish name. I didn't take the opportunity to take in all the culture of those countries. It hits me all the time now because I regret it.
We're gonna make it happen. Better later than never. We're gonna get over there and we're gonna cover some. If I got to go to Liverpool, you got to go to Wrexham. And then
they're not that far apart. So if their schedules align, I want to say I think it's like an hour drive. I think when I looked it up last time, because when I was looking at Liverpool and being like, man, I'm like, I got to look to see where Wrexham is, because if it's close and I'm there, I'm doing it. And I want to say it was like a 45-minute drive.
And when we do it, we're gonna get Rob McElhenney on one of these shows. I don't think we'll ever be big enough to get Deadpool with Ryan Reynolds, but McElhenney, he's just a Philadelphia doofus, like Joe Q. So we can get him probably pretty easy.
We're gonna become hooligans over there.
Exactly. All right, so Matt, you're back every Tuesday night now at 6:00, right?
6 o'clock. Yeah.
Awesome. Are you good with the way the first show went?
Me?
Yeah. I thought it went well. We appreciate it when I tell you how many people tuned in, but you just stick. I got a feeling that this thing's gonna light up on YouTube over the next few days. Coming also very soon. If you don't like the way we look, that's fine. We probably don't like the way you look either. But the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network radio app, you can download it right to your phone, and you don't have to look at us, but you can listen to us on the go wherever you're at. So, and it's usable all over the world. We'll be heard. So, your show. Any final words?
Can't wait to do it again next week.
We'll be back next Tuesday night at 6, and Check wherever you're watching us. Just check the channel. We got a ton of shows all the time, all day, every day. We appreciate you tuning in. Great job, Matt. And we'll see everybody next week. All right, Matt.
And the sweet